Thank you, Shannon. At Fox News Alert, of course, you know the news. President Trump found guilty on all counts. Judge Jeannine's been here. She's been able to give some comments, but you've got some other people here with some thoughts. And Greg, let me start with you as we got the news right here, right about 5 o'clock.
I'm not that surprised. This thing always felt preordained. It feels more arranged than a marriage in Kabul. I guess that's why I'm not that broken up about it. The man thrives on adversity, and so do the American people. And this kind of only adds to the persuasive power by proving his point that if you are a threat to power, they will try to destroy you. And I do believe that, Americans love the story of a lone man battling a corrupt system with his back against the wall, as opposed to some invalid who is now the villain. When you're in this story, and these are all stories, there is a villain and there is a hero, and we now know who the villain is and who's behind this. We just saw something with our very own eyes, but we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. And I believe that there was a conscious collusion of allies that came together. It's pretty obvious, with a private strategy to eliminate a common shared adversary. This happened before with in the election. I think it was Time Magazine that wrote about the Cabal. Cabal. Thank you. I said Kabul earlier. Government, the legal system, the media. So what we saw was the outcome. What we didn't see was everything leading up to it, what was done secretly. And then we get this trial, which is paraded publicly. But we didn't see how this happened. I believe that they just gave Popeye a gallon of spinach laced with steroids and meth. And I think you're going to see this not... the numbers aren't going to go in Biden's favor. I think this will not only solidify the base, it will radicalize it. It will infuriate the independents and the undecideds. And those who see Biden as a desiccated, barely alive person will be, I think, energized by this.
See President Trump right now on your screen left, leaving the courtroom there. We're keeping an eye on that motorcade. He's going to be heading back up to his place at Trump Tower. The sentencing would be July 11th, Jesse. That's 2 weeks after the first presidential debate and 4 days before the RNC convention gets started. So it's all crunched.
Yeah, Trump was found guilty because he beat Hillary and is about to beat Joe Biden. I thought I'd be angry, but I feel this cool resignation, this resoluteness that we're wounded as a country and we're not going to go down, that we're going to get back up, we're going to regain our strength, and then we're going to vanquish the evil forces that are destroying this republic. And if you look at the American people, how are they looking at this? People are desperate for help from these politicians, for safety, for security. And these nitwits, consumed with hatred, are trying to destroy a man because he threatens their power. These are wicked people obsessed with a person. And we will seek justice. We guarantee that. This man's life is a Greek tragedy. From billionaire, bankruptcy, TV star, Hollywood Walk of Fame, divorces, marriages, children. And that was even before he enters politics. And then you have investigations and hoaxes and a pandemic. And now they're trying to incarcerate this person. And the only way this act ends if he is reelected. And it looks like he will be reelected. June is going to be a pivotal month, though, Dana, because Biden will speak after this to the nation, he says. And then in just less than a week, Hunter Biden will go on trial for felony gun charges. And then you will have polling that's going to try to push this into the bloodstream and show that Biden's now closing the gap. We'll see if that sticks. And then you have a debate at the end of the month. So if Joe Biden is still down at the end of June after all of this, it's over for Joe Biden. And I thought the president's tone was perfect. He was angry. He said it was rigged, and we all know it was rigged. We all know he can't get a fair trial here. But the key point was that the real verdict is on November 5th, when not 12 men and women get to decide, 330 million men and women get to decide. And that is the key. So get out there and vote.
I also just want to read to you, because you mentioned the Biden campaign, and we did hear earlier in the week that President Biden is going to make some sort of statement regardless of the outcome. He was going to make a statement from the White House. We assume that, I don't even know if he's actually there, he might be in Delaware, but we know that, but his campaign put this statement out, and then Harold will get your take. The Biden campaign saying this. In New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain and keep power. A second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms and fomenting political violence, and the American people will reject it this November. That is from the Biden campaign. Now, over to you, Harold.
So it's a tough day for the country, and obviously a tough day personally for President Trump. I think Jonathan Turley's remarks about his confidence in our system, our rule of law and our judicial system, is something I think we all have to cling to. I think the word for me right now is just restraint. Those who don't support President Trump's politics, who may have some glee today or this afternoon, and those who support him who are disappointed. The one thing I hope people don't walk away or that they don't take away from this is that our system doesn't work. I criticize Jonathan Turley sometimes, but I give him a lot of credit for how he framed this here at the end of his remarks a few minutes ago. We have an appellate system. We have a Supreme Court or appellate system in this state that will review this, and if President Trump does not gain the kind of favor that he wants there, he can appeal even higher. But our system will work this out. And for anyone to suggest that a country that has survived a Revolutionary War, a Civil War, World War I, World War II, that we won't be able to make it through this, I'd say shame on you. We are a huge country with huge ideals and huge dreams and aspirations. Whether you support President Trump or not, he will have an opportunity to remedy this if the law is on his side. And I would hope that those who don't like President Trump or who don't like his politics don't take glee in this, don't take joy in this. This is a day in which justice was served at the first court, and we'll see what happens here over the next several months, as I'm sure, based on some of the enumeration we heard from Judge Pirro and even from Andy McCarthy and Shannon Bream and others about the things that the president may be able to cite on appeal. But as we sit here tonight, I still have great confidence in our system. I hope we don't go attacking these jurors. It was a human exercise, jury deliberations are, and I'm one that hopes that these jurors do talk and give us a sense of what happened in that jury room. And they have the right to do that, every right to do that.
I noticed when Jonathan Turley was talking about the judge's instructions to the jury, you made a note, and I also remember before, I think you had said to Trey Gowdy that in your experience, the juries usually get it right. What about the jurors here versus the judge, or what happened there?
Well, first of all, I think it's important for people to understand that there is a huge connection between the jurors and the judge. The judge is the one who decides, when they go, to lunch, when they get a break, what they get for lunch, whether, they're going to have their needs that we don't even hear about met in that deliberation room. And when I was on the bench, in almost every case, I would say, the jurors would say to me, Judge, did we get it right? And they would want to know my opinion. And I would always say to them, you got it right. You're the jury. And so there's this connection between the judge and the jurors. So I'm not surprised at the verdict. Legally, I could take this on appeal myself. But what I'm most disturbed about is the fact that they come out, that the Democrats come out with the Biden campaign, with you just read, it's an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge. I mean, Donald Trump did not sound, when he came out of that courtroom, like he was full of revenge. And they talk about how he will now try to destroy the Constitution. It's just the opposite. Donald Trump is the strongest man I have ever met. There is no one who can withstand what this man has withstood. And I've known him for 40 years. He will fight the fight until the end. And this is a scenario that will energize him. It will energize his base. And hopefully, along with that energy, will come other people who will say to themselves, what did Donald Trump do wrong? What was it again that he did wrong? I'm not sure people know what he did wrong in this case. And, I don't want to hear about, well, the jury decided it was definitely right. Well, the appellate court will decide that. But what I can tell you is that this is the ultimate in terms of election interference. We saw it with Letitia James. She tried to bankrupt him, and maybe she did. I don't know. We saw saw it with Alvin Bragg, who's a Soros-funded prosecutor, and all of these prosecutors who want to take him down. Be careful what you wish for. And I don't want to see this happen because I believe in this system. To not believe in the system means that I wasted 3 decades of my life. I have to believe in this system. But the problem here is you have just energized a sleeping giant across America. That, you know what, there are DAs in this country, in all 50 states, who say, I have the power to indict. I have a grand jury. Let's hit it. Especially against the president, who protected his own son, who finally is coming up for a crime that he allegedly committed. I'll say that as a professional, for trial on June 3rd, but where his own Department of Justice prevented him from even having to answer for his lack of paying taxes in some very heavy income years. And now America's saying, you know what? Now we see them juxtaposed against each other, and it's not fair. And we are a country that was born of revolution. Revolution is in our DNA. We are fighters, and I hope it's only at the ballot box. Don't get me wrong. But my insides are so angry because this was not a case that should have been brought.
Let me give you one more update, if you don't mind. This has just come in from the AP. Even though the White House had put out this statement, Greg, that the president would be making an official statement from the White House, apparently now President Biden will not address Trump's conviction tonight, per people familiar. The plans are fluid, but the first comments likely to come in an informal setting in days ahead, probably in response to a reporter's question.
And you know, that won't be planned. That'll just be a spontaneous question.
They do point out that President Biden is with his family today in Delaware on the anniversary of Beau's death. So not tonight, but again, unlikely to. When does he talk to the press? In front of Marine One?
Yeah, very few things in Biden's life are fluid except for his meals. I go back to my original point. If you look at Russian collusion, the P-tape, Hunter's laptop, the constant investigations of the Trump family, the relentless kind of campaign is now routine. How can you not conclude that this entire thing is rigged? And it just informs that idea that Trump has been saying, is that if they don't like you, they're going to destroy you. They mentioned revenge, and it's interesting because why would they bring that up? It's because they feel somehow that it is warranted. Trump didn't mention it. They did. Why else would you bring it up? It's like a guilty spouse. Every time he sees an angry look from his husband or wife, goes, oh, my God, she knows. You know, it's like they just go, well, you know, we did it. You know, and then, of course, they always use that old chestnut, no one is above the law.
Yeah.
And I go back to the original thing that Kat Timpf said, and no one is below the law except for Trump. Basically, it's going to be anybody affiliated with Trump, any Republican, any conservative, all below the law.
Tonight on your show, you have Kevin O'Leary, who was here yesterday talking about his recent trip overseas when he was trying to bring investment into the country, and everybody's saying this is real, and it's hurt the American brand. So that was just the trial, and the Stormy Daniels.
Yes, he is on tonight. The show is on.
It is on. I guess it is on, right? Jesse, and then Harold, and then I think we're out.
It's hard to imagine how the president feels right now as someone who was born in New York City, who then came back and had a big part in creating the New York City skyline. Not many people have such a powerful imprint on the city as Donald Trump. And then Page Six fixture, big part of the 80s and 90s social scene here that defined New York City culture. And then grows that brand into a reality TV star with The Apprentice at the time of reality TV's zenith. And then takes it even higher to the White House and keeps New York City safe, keeps New York City wealthy. And then you get a once-in-a-100-year pandemic, and the man is on the phone with Cuomo sending ships, sending ventilators, doing everything he possibly can to help this city. And what does he get in return? He gets a sick DA with a
crooked judge. And a ridiculous
Biden Justice Department official who conspire to destroy him because he was successful. It's a shame. It's a damn shame.
Harold, Alvin Bragg is going to have a press conference at 6:30 tonight. So
I'm glad the president's not having any words. It's probably appropriate. The DAs would obviously speak after a case like this. But again, I just want to remind people, when the Supreme Court of the United States overturned abortion and overturned affirmative action in the last year and a half or so, there was an outrage, and but I was upset about it. But we have to show restraint. This is how our system works. The court today, Judge, you can laugh all you want, but the
I'm
court,
not laughing at all, Harold. Don't accuse me of laughing.
Forgive me. I thought you smirked. smirked.
I did not smirk,
I
Harold.
apologize. Forgive me. The Supreme Court, just in the last few days, unanimously, a liberal justice wrote the decision in favor of the National Rifle Association, saying that they had been discriminated, that their First Amendment rights have been violated by the New York Department of Financial Services. For those who believe that President Trump has been wrong today, you may be right. And we will find out as he goes through this appeal process. Again, this is a tough day and a sad day for America. I meant no harm by what I said to you, Judge. I thought I'm mistaken.
I'm mistaken. This is a very sad day for all of us.
I agree with you.
Irrespective of party,
I agree.
Irrespective of affiliation, we have seen the criminal justice system weaponized to bring down a candidate for president and a former president. It is historic. This has never happened before in America. I think everyone should take a deep breath before they get upset about anything or accuse anyone of anything else.
Amen. I would agree.
All right, so just wrapping up here on the 5, Donald Trump found guilty on all 34 counts. Alvin Bragg will give a press conference at 6:30 p.m. So you stick around for Fox. We're going to have amazing coverage tonight from Bret Baier Show, Jesse Show, Laura Ingraham, and then, of course, exclamation point all the way through. And then I'll see you on America's Newsroom in the morning. Coverage on the Trump verdict.